Have you ever felt like a butterfly, flitting from flower to flower, never settling long enough on any to fully savor its nectar? There's a subtle restlessness within us, an almost compulsive desire to explore 1,000 paths, but which, paradoxically, prevents us from delving deep into any of them. This is the essence of focus fragmentation, a phenomenon increasingly present in our modern lives. Nature, in its ancient wisdom, offers us a beautiful and vivid metaphor to understand it better. Prepare for a fascinating journey that will reveal how the instincts of a winged creature can mirror the challenges of our dispersed minds, inviting us to reflect on the ephemeral beauty of possibility and the often imperceptible trap of superficiality. Focus fragmentation is more than just occasional distraction. It's the subtle art of being in many places at once and, paradoxically, in none. It is like having a vibrant mental screen where 1,000 ideas flicker and rotate in the blink of an eye, each promising a new horizon, but few, very few, solidify or come to fruition. Think of that project you started with such enthusiasm, perhaps a new venture, a challenging online course, or writing a book dedicating hours to initial research, meticulous planning, and visualizing grand outcomes. Yet, before even reaching halfway, a new idea, even more alluring and with the dazzling gleam of novelty, emerges on your mind's horizon, diverting your attention. The result? The previous project is abandoned, and you find yourself facing an endless to-do list, where each item is initiated with the best intentions and the promise of quick completion, but rarely finished, leaving a trail of scattered efforts and a persistent feeling of incompleteness, frustration, and even subtle, yet constant, guilt. This dispersion isn't a sign of laziness, lack of discipline, or intelligence. It is, in fact, a whirlwind of possibilities that, ironically, often paralyzes us. It manifests in various ways, as the almost insurmountable difficulty of staying on a single task for a significant period without feeling overwhelming restlessness, the almost uncontrollable urge for novelty that makes us jump from one short video to another on social media, from one platform to the next, or from one app to another in mere seconds in a digital frenzy. Or the overwhelming initial passion for a new hobby that quickly fades when the learning phase becomes challenging, demanding persistence, repetition, and a commitment that feels too heavy for the lightness expected. In the contemporary work environment, focus fragmentation translates into ineffective multitasking, where attention is pulverized across countless demands, and depth of thought, quality of work, and overall efficiency are sacrificed for the sake of a false and often exhausting sense of productivity. In our personal lives, it can be the difficulty of sticking to a long-term plan, be it a strict diet, a consistent exercise regimen, an ambitious financial goal, or learning a new language, leading us to jump from strategy to strategy, course to course, from miracle solution to miracle solution, without allowing enough time for results to manifest or for true mastery of an area to be achieved. This is the constant what-if syndrome, an incessant inner voice that prevents us from committing fully to a single path or choice. We're always pondering the next opportunity that might be better, the next method that might be more efficient, the next stimulus that promises to be the most exciting. This incessant pursuit of something new and potentially superior, at times, distances us from the profound satisfaction and genuine sense of accomplishment that would come with completing a project, mastering a skill, or deepening a meaningful relationship. The dispersed mind, therefore, is not a villain to be fought or eliminated. It is a tireless explorer, a vital engine of creativity and adaptability that propels us toward discovery. But it needs to learn how to land, to channel its energy consciously and intentionally, to reap the golden fruits of persistence and completion. The challenge is to transform this natural tendency into a strength, rather than a source of eternal and exhaustive dispersion. The butterfly, with its ethereal beauty, its vibrant, painterly colors, And its seemingly erratic yet always graceful flight is the living personification of dispersion. It emerges from its chrysalis, a stage of profound and mysterious transformation, with a single, primal instinctual purpose: the relentless search for nectar for its own survival and vital procreation, thus ensuring the uninterrupted continuity of its species. However, observe its movements closely in the garden, a breathtaking aerial ballet. It is a constant, gentle flitting from flower to flower. A brief touch on each sipping, just enough for its immediate nourishment, but never lingering for long periods. It does not cling to a single food source. Its survival, in fact, depends on continuous exploration and dynamic adaptability within its vast environment. Lingering too long in one place would make it vulnerable, both to nectar scarcity and to predators. Butterflies are masters of opportunity and agility, embodying a life strategy based on flexibility and immediate response to their surroundings. If a flower doesn't offer the expected nectar, or if it has already been visited and depleted, they swiftly move to the next without hesitation, frustration, or looking back. Their focus is on the present, on the next opportunity. If a predator approaches, their swift, unpredictable, and fragmented flight is their primary defense, making them a difficult target to catch. Their existence is an ode to freedom of movement, to the lightness of being, and to unconditional receptivity to new stimuli that emerge in their path. Their flight patterns, which to our eyes seem as intricate as they are random, are in fact an aerial dance reflecting a nature that is always searching, always exploring the next potential, the next source of life and beauty, maximizing their chances of survival and reproduction. They visit hundreds, perhaps thousands, of flowers in a single day, contributing vitally to the cross-pollination of a vast and complex ecosystem, an invaluable ecological service, but without deeply exploring any single one. There is no attachment to what is past, nor concern for what will come in the distant future. There is only the immediate present, the next flower that presents itself in their field of vision, the next sunbeam that guides and energizes them. Their life is a continuous series of micro-encounters, each a small victory in the relentless pursuit of sustenance and the continuation of the species. They are, in their purest essence, tireless explorers, whose strategic success lies precisely in their remarkable ability not to settle for too long in a single spot, always remaining open to new possibilities and new horizons. The butterfly teaches us that dispersion, in its natural context, can be a brilliant and necessary strategy for survival and thriving. The link between the wandering flight of the butterfly and the dispersed human mind is astonishingly direct, resonant, and rich in parallels that invite introspection. Just as the butterfly flits from flower to flower in its garden, driven by an instinctive need to explore and find resources, our modern mind, constantly bombarded by an avalanche of digital stimuli and an infinite array of seemingly limitless choices, often jumps from one task to another, from one idea to the next, from one app to another, without truly delving deep into any of them. The beauty and agility of the butterfly in full flight, exploring countless nectar options, mirrors our own innate and often uncontrollable attraction to novelty and variety. We are seduced by new information popping up in our feeds, new learning opportunities appearing with every click, new projects and hobbies promising to fulfill our deepest desires and longings, just as the butterfly is irresistibly drawn to a new unvisited flower promising fresh and abundant nectar. Both humans and butterflies possess an intense instinctive curiosity that shapes their behaviors and life strategies. For the butterfly, this curiosity is crucial not only for finding food and mates, but also for identifying safe and ideal locations to lay its eggs, ensuring the next generation. It's a vital matter of species survival and reproduction. For us, this curiosity manifests in our insatiable thirst for knowledge, our relentless pursuit of new experiences that broaden our horizons, and the very spark of creativity that drives us to innovate and create. However, this same curiosity, when unbalanced and without clear purpose, can become a subtle yet powerful trap. The butterfly, in its instinctive wisdom, does not linger to finish a flower, draining every last drop of its nectar. It extracts enough for the moment and moves on, optimizing its energy and time to maximize collection within its environment. Similarly, we often extract the initial nectar from an idea or project, the excitement of conception, the superficial learning of the first stages, the euphoria of novelty, and then swiftly move on to the next flower, leaving a trail of unfinished initiatives, unrealized potential, and a corrosive sense of superficiality. The speed of transition of the butterfly, its incredible ability to change direction and focus in an instant, is a perfect mirror of the agility with which our attention disperses in a world saturated with information and stimuli. Just one click on a link, one auditory notification, one new idea unexpectedly blossoming in the mind is enough for our attention, like a butterfly, to alter its course in milliseconds, following the dopamine trail. Both manifestations, the biological one of the butterfly and the psychological one of the human, point to a pattern of broad exploration at the expense of intense deepening. The butterfly is a living and poetic reminder that, although the vast range of possibilities is inherently beautiful and inviting, constancy and focus on a single point can be the true path to completion, mastery, and lasting satisfaction. The great challenge of modern life is to learn to fly with purpose, discerning wisely when it is time to explore and when it is crucial to land and delve deep. Neuroscience and evolutionary biology offer fascinating and complementary explanations for the intricate connection between the butterfly as natural dispersion and the fragmentation of focus in the human mind. In the human brain, the mesolimbic reward system, a complex and powerful circuit involving crucial areas like the nucleus accumbens and the ventral tegmental area, plays a dominant role in our novelty-seeking behavior. Novelty, exploration, and the variety of stimuli intensely activate the release of dopamine, a potent neurotransmitter associated with pleasure, motivation, learning, and the relentless pursuit of rewards. Every new idea that pops into our mind, every new tab opened in our browser, every new notification that flashes on our smartphone, every like we receive on our social media, every catchy email subject line, all these small stimuli release tiny yet addictive doses of dopamine, creating a reinforcement loop that drives us to continuously seek new stimuli and sensations. This mechanism in our brain, in a way, mirrors and amplifies the butterfly's flitting pattern, but with more complex consequences for human productivity and well-being. This cerebral mechanism is, in its evolutionary origin, a fundamental relic for our survival and adaptation. In past environments where resources were scarce and unpredictable, exploring new territories, seeking new food sources, and discovering new tools were essential for the prosperity and survival of the species. Just as the butterfly is genetically programmed to seek out new flowers to ensure its sustenance and propagate its offspring, our ancestors were driven by these dopaminergic circuits to explore and adapt to constantly changing environments. The problem, however, arises when this search mechanism, highly effective in an environment of scarcity and uncertainty, becomes overloaded by an overwhelming excess of information and opportunities in the modern, digital, and hyper-connected world. Our attentional capacity is, by its very nature, finite and limited, and when we divide it across multiple simultaneous stimuli, the depth of cognitive processing drastically diminishes, leading to superficiality and mental overload. Robust studies on divided attention and the practice of multitasking unequivocally demonstrate that, although we may have the illusion of efficiency when rapidly switching between different tasks, this switching comes at a significant cognitive cost, often referred to as task switching cost. Each change of focus requires a mental rejigging, a reorientation of attention and working memory, which consumes precious time and energy, decreases efficiency, increases the likelihood of errors, and ultimately reduces the quality of work or learning. The butterfly's brain, in contrast, is optimized for efficient nectar collection through the exploration of multiple sources, not the exhaustion of a single one. It is a highly effective strategy for its survival in its ecological niche. In us, this instinct manifests as a tendency to jump from one interest to another, from one project to another, even when concentrated and persistent deep work would be more productive and rewarding in the long run. The great contemporary challenge, therefore, is to recognize the existence and strength of this biological impulse and learn to consciously direct it, transforming uncontrolled dispersion into focused, strategic, and productive exploration. The mental butterfly is not a distant rhetorical figure or an abstract concept. It manifests in countless ways in our daily lives, shaping our choices and outcomes, and often we don't even realize its subtle yet powerful influence. Consider the case of Mariana, a talented graphic designer overflowing with innovative ideas, always seeking the next big project. She starts a new job with overwhelming passion, dedicating days to creating stunning sketches, impactful visual concepts, and meticulously planning every detail with enthusiasm. However, even before reaching the finalization and client delivery phase, a new idea for a mobile application seduces her with its gleam of novelty, its unexplored potential, and the promise of a revolutionary future. Soon, she finds her creative energy and attention split between the incomplete graphic design, the complex app development, and perhaps an online photography course she always wanted to take. That seems like an unmissable opportunity to broaden her horizons. The result? Multiple unfinished projects on her desk, a constant feeling that she could be doing more, and a subtle but persistent anxiety due to the lack of completion, culminating in burnout. She is the butterfly that visits 1,000 flowers, but never fully savors the nectar of completion and deep satisfaction from any of them. Or take the journey of Joan, a music enthusiast who, after years of dreaming of playing an instrument, finally decides to learn the guitar. He invests in a beautiful new instrument, watches dozens of online tutorials for a few weeks, learns some basic chords, and feels an initial euphoria of accomplishment, picturing himself in sold-out concerts. However, his attention is soon captivated by something completely new and different. He discovers a fascinating new podcast about investing and, excited by the possibility of generating passive income and achieving his long dreamed of financial freedom, he decides to dedicate all his free time and mental energy to studying the financial market, buying books, and taking courses. The guitar, once a source of great enthusiasm and hope, sits in the corner of the room, gathering dust, awaiting the next wave of interest to awaken it from its lethargy. The butterfly Joe briefly landed on the flower of music, extracted some nectar and fleeting satisfaction, but soon felt irresistibly drawn to the flower of economics, abandoning the first before it could blossom into mastery and true passion. In the vast and noisy universe of social media, we are all butterflies in an immense digital garden. We scroll through our feeds, incessantly jumping from one post to another, from one short video to another, from a meme to an alarming news headline, from a celebrity to an influencer, without ever truly delving deep into a single topic or dedicating full attention to a single source of information. We consume a vast amount of superficial and fragmented information, often without context, but rarely dedicate ourselves to a deep reading of a complex article, to a prolonged reflection on a single subject, or to a meaningful and quality interaction with the content. The internet is the limitless and ever-expanding field of digital flowers with new attractions every second, and we, the digital butterflies, flit incessantly in search of the next flash of informational nectar, losing ourselves in the superficiality of constant connectivity and the illusion that we are always updated and engaged when in reality we are merely distracted. What then can we learn from the butterfly and its intrinsic, almost poetic dispersion? Paradoxically, the deepest lesson is not to completely suppress curiosity or the innate desire to explore, which are, after all, powerful and essential forces for human creativity, continuous learning, and adaptability in a constantly transforming world. Instead, the key lies in recognizing that the freedom to fly, their ability to explore new ideas, to initiate multiple projects, to absorb different perspectives and knowledge must be balanced with the wisdom to land and, for a sufficient period, dedicate oneself to a specific flower until its nectar is fully gathered. The butterfly, in its essence, shows us that the true beauty and effectiveness of its journey are not merely in the vastness of its flight, but in its ability to choose where to land and, for a determined period, to dedicate itself to that specific flower, extracting maximum value and sustenance from it before moving on. It's a cycle of exploration and focus. For us humans, this translates into the conscious practice of mindfulness and deliberate focus. Instead of being merely carried away by the overwhelming current of new stimuli, distractions, and information that surround us, we can learn to consciously choose where to direct our energy, our creativity, and our time, which are finite and precious resources. This is not about completely eliminating the exploration of new ideas or the pursuit of knowledge. On the contrary, it's about moderating dispersion and cultivating the vital capacity for deep work. We can allow ourselves exploratory flights, yes, to discover new areas of interest and inspiration, to remain curious and open to the new. However, it is crucial that these flights are followed by the clear and disciplined intention to return to a primary flower and exhaust it, that is, to finalize a project, master a skill, complete a complex and important task before fully dedicating ourselves to the next. Reflect honestly on your own behavioral patterns. Are you a compulsive collector of beginnings, leaving a trail of unfinished projects and unrealized potential, or a persistent finisher who reaps the rewards of perseverance? An eternal explorer who is never satisfied with what they have, or a master of depth who finds satisfaction in mastery and completion? The butterfly invites us to be more intentional in our landings, to savor the nectar of depth, mastery, and completion, which bring much more lasting and significant satisfaction than mere novelty. Don't blame yourself for having the exploratory nature of the butterfly. Instead, use this deep understanding of its biology and behavior to cultivate a more conscious, more productive, and ultimately, more fulfilling focus in your own life. True freedom is not an aimless flight or superficially touching everything. It is in wisely choosing the destination of each landing, allowing each effort to blossom to its full potential, and each step to lead us to a greater, more meaningful purpose. The butterfly, in its continuous and seemingly chaotic aerial dance, reminds us that life is a vast and exuberant garden of infinite possibilities. But true success, genuine satisfaction, and a profound sense of accomplishment often reside not in visiting every flower that appears, but in deeply nurturing and savoring those we choose with purpose. Where will you land your energy today, so that your efforts may truly blossom and you may reap the fruits that truly matter?